The title of my talk today is A Case of Mistaken Identity. And this has really been up for me a lot lately. I've been just going around to the different churches around Michigan and speaking the same service. And I want to tell you a story. And this story is about a gentleman, we'll say his name is John Smith. And John decides that he really enjoys the theater. So he goes and he auditions for a part for King Robert. And so he ends up winning the part, and he plays this part for many, many years. He plays this part. One day, a friend of his comes in, and he said, "How are you doing?" And he said, "I'm not doing so well." And he said, "What do you mean you're not doing so well?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You know, my kingdom is falling apart. You know, we're having a hard time collecting money from the people. They can't afford it. And I don't know what to do. You know, my children are distraught. My kingdom is falling apart." And his friend says to him, he said, "You don't have any problems. Your only problem is that you have believed the role that you have been playing. The role of King Robert, that you have bought into it so fully that you have gathered all the problems that come along with that role." That's each of us. By design, by the way. By design. We each have come here and we end up being raised up by parents that really, let's face it, don't know what the hell they're doing. I didn't know what the hell I was doing either. Right? So that's the thing, you know, but we believe our parents true. We go to church and we believe the ministers, we believe the teachers, but we're coming from a society in a world that is dysfunctional. And I don't say that with any judgment. This is the play of life, right? God helps us to experience, you know, our separateness in some ways until we are ready to come back home to who we are. I think it was about, I don't know what it was, 5-6 weeks ago. I had in my dream, my dad passed away back in 92. He sometimes is supportive for me and he'll come in my dreams. And he came in my dream and said, "You're now a full-blown diabetic." And it caught me off guard, but I wasn't surprised. I had been pre-diabetic for a long time, which comes with a lot of similar traits that being type 2 diabetic has. And so, but it did catch me off guard enough to say, shit, basically. You know, it's like not exactly what I was wanting to experience. But at the same time, there was this beautiful, beautiful gift that came with it. And let me tell you what the gift was. The gift was to say, am I a diabetic? Because a diabetic has to be connected with the body, right? Am I my body? Now, I could probably ask maybe everyone in here, does anyone feel that we are the body? So there's this idea that we're not the body, and you've probably heard me say it, that we're not the body, we're not the mind, we're the awareness of those things. We're awareness of the thoughts, the feelings, the experiences, and we're awareness of the mind, which is your thoughts and feelings, and awareness of the body. But now everyone says, no, we're not the body, Brett. But let me just tell you where our mind goes with this and how closely identified we are with the body. Because when I heard that I was a diabetic, I'm like, whoa, am I a diabetic or am I a one that is a witness to the diabetic? Because we go around saying all the time, right? I am cold. Are you? Are you your body? Because I know your body might be cold. Are you hungry? Really? Are you hungry, or is it the body that's hungry? And so we have to start making this discernment, because we're saying I all the time, where we're identifying with either the body or the mind, which is the very thing that separates us from God. Let me say that again. We identify so strongly with the body and the mind that it keeps us separate from God, because we're not able to identify with the truth of who we are, which is the nothingness, the stillness, the silence. And we did a little bit of the stillness and the silence in the meditation because I like people to get a sense of, are you comfortable with the stillness? Or it's like, this meditation ends very quickly here, And it's hard. It's hard. I teach meditation. I taught it at the senior center, for in Royal Oak, and for people to just sit for 5 minutes, it's like I saw the one lady, she was really getting fidgety, and you got to move through that fidgetiness, right? If that's a word, it is now. But silence is beyond the thoughts, beyond the feelings, and there's just something that's so beautiful. I loved, Bill, the word of the day was discrimination, and it really describes so much of what I'm saying right now. So my gift began to come with being diabetic to say, when I started hearing the eyes and how I was connecting and identifying with that, I would hear my mind say, be careful what you eat. And I'm like, well, who's the you here eating? And, I am a diabetic, so I need to be careful with this. I need to do this. It was all eyes that were part of the false identification of who I am. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm still sorting through what I can eat and what I can't eat. But a friend of mine who's been a mentor and my holistic practitioner for a long time, I was telling him about the full-blown diabetic, and he said, they've actually done studies with people with multiple personalities. In one personality, they're a diabetic, and in another one, they're not. Their blood sugar is completely fine. So, that's pretty amazing, right? But what's also true is, if you've ever read the book by Deepak Chopra, Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, he describes in there that every 7 years, all the cells in the body completely regenerate. All the cells in the body completely regenerate. So the question is, why do we keep generating the same problems? The same knee problems, the same eyesight problems, the same hearing problems, the same, whatever physical we have going on, we continue to manifest that. Why? Because we identify with it as if it's the truth. Right? Everything happening in our life is a perfect reflection of what we identify with as the truth. So I identified with, I'm pre-diabetic. And I want to tell you, I do my best to listen to Spirit, and I heard Spirit tell me in my meditation I was pre-diabetic. But who was Spirit talking to? Who was Spirit talking to? They were talking to my person, that personal idea of who I thought I was. Why? Because that's what I was identified with, and that's what they needed to help me to clear out eventually. So Spirit, who you are, your very essence of who you are, is healthy. It doesn't need anything. It doesn't want anything. It doesn't have any desires or attachments. It's naturally in joy. Naturally, he said, created in the likeness and the image of God. We are that, and it needs nothing. So when we're getting our guidance, Spirit is working with our personal idea of who we think we are until we recognize, wait a minute, that's not who I am. And you start stepping out of it. So for me, being identified with as pre-diabetic for so long, of course, that thing manifested in my life. God says, oh, okay, I see he believes that he is this. Let me give him this experience of this, because whatever you believe, you manifest to be true. So let me give him this experience. And then I come to hear I'm full-blown diabetic, which was the gift because it helped me to say, I'm not diabetic at all. Right? Like I said, I'm still sorting through is how much chocolate cake I can eat. I'll be honest with you on that. Because it's so ingrained in my mind that, well, I can't do that. Anybody ever read the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda? We have a few people in this was a story of Yogananda was, it's a beautiful book, by the way, if you ever feel drawn to read it, but Yogananda was telling the story of his life and his end up turning into for self-realization, which he has there's places all over the world now that are called Self-Realization Fellowship. And I went to them for a couple of years. But in his book, he describes that one of the people was invited to go see a guru, a teacher, and his friend that was who invited him, he's like, that guru, he's not real. This is not real. And he said, okay, I'll go with you and I'll prove that it's not real. So he goes there and he ends up putting poison in the guru's drink. Right after the guru starts drinking it, probably fully understanding exactly what's going on, the guru is drinking it, and the person who poisoned him starts feeling deathly sick. He's having stomach cramps and he feels horrible. And the guru says to him, did you really think you could get away with that? What are you trying to accomplish? It is you who has created pain amongst yourself, upon yourself. And so he said, you now have a choice. You can die or you can follow me. He followed him. So what I want to say about what our beliefs are, we're creating exactly what we need. If you look around the world, there's some people that say, man, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, Father, for everything you've given me. I'm so grateful for that. And there's other people that say, oh my God, did you see who got elected over here? And we got this going on here. I mean, let's face it. We could really give a whole slew of ideas of how we can get hooked into the problems of the world, right? But the problems of the world are brought to us based on what we believe to help us to awaken to who we are. And so if you believe you have poor eyesight, okay, that's fine. I'm not judging any of it. I'm just saying, do you have to continue with that? And it might not be your highest priority or on the list. My eyes aren't great, so I don't really focus on them. There's other things that feel more important to me than that. But you will eventually, as you begin to realize that you are not your body and you are not your mind, you come back to a place of full health because that's who you are. And there's no reason to manifest anything less than that, right? There's no reason to manifest anything less than perfect health, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But the question is then, how do we step out of this false identification? So one of the ways that we can do that is something called self-inquiry. And self-inquiry is simply asking the question, who am I? It's asking the question, who am I? And it's also being aware of when your mind is saying, I am this or I am that. The only way you can use the I am statement where it's ever true is to simply say, I am. That's it. I am. I exist. And we know where we exist, right? We're conscious and aware that we're here. Right now, you could say, well, I could say, well, how do you know you're here? I know. There's an awareness. There's a conscious awareness. When we fall asleep at night, we might lose that conscious awareness and we get caught in the dream and we don't know anything different than what that dream is, right? It's like that's all we know unless you're having a lucid dream and then you might say, oh, I know this is only a dream. What happens when we live this world and we hear the term Maya, which is illusion, and we hear that and we say, well, this isn't an illusion, this is real. It's because we're still sleeping. It's because we are so identified with something of who we are that is not true that we're not able to see that we are in a dream here as well. And there's nothing bad or wrong about that. I'm not making any of this bad or wrong, but I'm hoping that I offer something to you as a way out of this. And that way out is start to watch the eyes. You think you're not your mind. You think you're not your body, but your thoughts that you're believing are telling otherwise. I'm angry. Are you? Or is that old programming from the past that says, this thing needs to be that way, therefore I don't like it, therefore I'm angry, right? And you can do that with any emotions because you are not your emotions. We talk about, that we are love. But even love, when you transcend the body and the mind, love is not an emotion. It's the natural state of who you are. It's the natural state of who you are. So notice all the eyes that come in and out. It's actually your way back to who you are, because the more you notice, like, I am this or I am that, or I'm cold or I'm hungry or I'm angry or I'm frustrated, any of that is a clue for you to just take a step back and say, who is that saying that? And you'll see that all of your emotions, all of them are tied in with the past or the future, not the present moment. Not the present moment. And you'll see that all your physical ailments, your so-called physical ailments, are all created because we're still identifying with the body. That's all. This has been incredibly powerful for me, this whole journey recently of saying, I am this or I am that, and just simply coming back to being conscious and aware of that. And we all have that, right? We all have that. Sometimes we're feverishly reading books or listening to teachers or, doing whatever we can to grasp onto something. And that's fine. But I would say more than a learning something new, it's actually an unlearning. It's an unlearning because it's there's a song by CeeLo, Crazy. Let's see if I can recount. It's not because you don't know enough. It's because you know too much. I may be crazy. You know that song? It sounded a little different than that, I know. But in any case, it's not because we don't know enough. It's because we know too much, meaning that the knowledge that we have gathered, we've gathered it with opinions. We all have our political parties. We all have our things that we're fighting for. Eckhart Tolle says, if you're fighting for something, you're going to get a fight. I don't want to fight. And I also don't need to feel anything needs to be any different. As when I'm rooted in the truth of who I am, I see the perfection of the world. I don't need it to be 1 ounce different than what it is. And I know that might seem crazy because, sometimes there's a hand or two comes, what about all the suffering in the world, Suffering is subjective. And what one person calls suffering, another person calls healing. And so it's about moving past. There's a quote by Rumi, in fact. Any Rumi fans? Yeah, he's got beautiful poetry, but he said, beyond the idea of wrongdoings and right doings, there is a field. I will meet you there. He's speaking to the duality of the mind, that the mind always says, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. But the essence of who we are says, it's all perfect. God is giving us the exact experience we need. We are manifesting what we need, and the world is a complete, perfect reflection of that, so that we can see where our joy is, and we can see where our anger or hatred is, our fear is. Really, it's where we can see. The Course in Miracles says there's only really love or fear. So it allows us to see where our love is. It allows us to see where our fear is. It's all perfect. And the more you stop fighting against it and know that it's all perfect, life gets incredibly easier. And how we do that is we continue to watch all the thoughts about that. Watch all the ideas that we have and say, is this really true? Who's saying this? Is it me, or is it my past or my future saying it? Because it's not. It's not here in the present moment. In the present moment, right now, right here, right now, when you're not thinking about, bills, when you're not thinking about social injustice or climate change or something like that, and you're just here in this moment, there's nothing else you need. That's why I say sometimes this perfect, beautiful moment, because it's true. When you're living in the presence, as the presence, there's nothing you need to fix or change. And so when I say, can you let the world be okay without you? I really mean it. because we're so busy trying to be somebody. We're so busy trying to fix other people and fix ourselves. What if the one you're trying to fix is the King Robert role that you've been playing all along? And that's what we do, right? We get hooked up. We're so invested in this, that we're King Robert. We're playing this role that we're trying to awaken King Robert. But guess what? King Robert doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It is just simply a role that we've bought into. How do you step out of that? As you keep noticing, being aware of how our mind and our body are pulling into us into false identification. I feel like that's about it. I'm just checking in. I hope you grasp the power behind this, because the truth is, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Please hear that. The truth is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Jim Carrey said recently, who had a wonderful awakening and really has just, it's been amazing, and has been a follower of Eckhart Tolle as well, but he said, somebody was asking him in an interview, and he said, I've gotten to the point where I have enough, I've done enough, and I am enough. And I hope you feel the same about yourself, because that's the truth of who you are. So don't listen to the mind if it tells you any less than that. Thank you. Namaste.
Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day, and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.